This is my third attempt at a homily on this gospel, and I've changed it every time. It's not an easy gospel. This is close to the end of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus is in Jerusalem. He's got days to live. It's not a pleasant parable. It's a parable of what? Of consequence. It's a parable of foreboding. Other parables that emphasize the mercy of God, this one seems to be more about the justice of God. You know what you have? It will be taken from you. It's a tough parable. And yet when we hear the things about like this really serious business, your relationship with God, the covenant, heaven will be taken from you. We don't like to look at that side of God. And we say, wait a minute, God is love. God is love. That can't be. Really? There's something really powerful about the fact that we're made in the image and likeness of God. And I remember first pondering and learning way back in the seminary that you look at how we operate, how we are wired, how we do relationships, and there's something, you get an insight into the Creator who made us that way. You parents, you love your children more than anything in the world. And you want them to be the best they can be. And from the parental perspective, you see all kinds of potential in them. And maybe you've got a child that is just not living up to their potential at all. And they mess up, and you're merciful and understanding. And they mess up and you're merciful. And maybe they mess up enough. And you feel, look, I got to try something else. And you're stern, and you give consequences. Why? Because your parental justice is a dimension of your parental love, isn't it? Everybody knows that. You see this all the time with families dealing with addiction. And try to be understanding and merciful, and oftentimes there comes a time where there has to be a sense of consequence. Parental justice is a dimension of your parental love. And the consequence may feel like a punishment to the person who's receiving it, but what's your hope with the punishment that you mete out, right? Isn't it your greatest hope that what? They'll come to their senses like the prodigal son, right? And they'll change. And they'll change. Try and hear this parable about the wicked tenants. This is about relationship with God. And God trying to help them to become what he wants them to become, faithful, merciful, in relationship with him, to get to heaven. And the Pastor's Corner talks about this. Matthew tells us out of love and concern for his people, God sent many servants, prophets, again and again. And what do? They reject the prophets. They reject God. There's another side of this, right? Like, people hate to talk about this oftentimes, right? Like, so we believe in heaven. We also believe in hell. Well, God's love again. God, that can't be. It can't be real. It's just a warning. Really? If you're really free, if you're truly free, and if that's meaningful to say that, don't you have to have the option to say no to God? Just like in your other relationships, with a friend, with a spouse, with a business partner. If you're free, you have to have the option, right, to say no. And it's a scary choice. It's a scary responsibility that God gives us the freedom. Why? If he wants us to be like him, we can't be automatons. I'm going to make you like me by forcing you into relationship with me. Life doesn't work that way, does it? Really a lot to think about. A lot to think about. How do we respond to God's call? Who's always calling to us the relationship with him. And oftentimes, when I use a phrase like that, it's really easy to think pleasant thoughts. Yeah, that's a nice thing. Yeah. And there is a beautiful, pleasant side to it. But they're also echoed in the prophetic messages. In that call is to do what? Is to face the devastating demands of love. The devastating demands of love. And you know that phrase too, right? You maybe have people in your life now or in your past, or maybe it's in your future, where to love them will be so challenging that you will have to face the devastating demands of love. And it will evoke from you things that you didn't think you had. A capacity to love and at times give mercy and at times maybe justice. Wow. Wow. Powerful parable at the end of Jesus' life, towards the end, with a sense of urgency to it, right? Sense of urgency. What does it really mean to be Catholic? Take up your cross and follow me. Talk about the devastating demands of love, right? What does it mean to be in relationship with God? It doesn't mean what the tenants thought it meant. They got to define everything the way they want. Oh, wait a minute. The way this tenant-landlord relationship works is the way it works. Is we loan you the property, you're a tenant, and we get a portion of the harvest. And they don't like that. They want to define this relationship according to their own will and their own mind and their own selfishness, really, right? We're not going to give you anything. How's that for a relationship, right? You ever been in a relationship like that? You give, and they give you nothing back. Do relationships work that way? Usually you don't stay in those relationships too long, do you? Right? This gospel of Pastor's Corner applies to us today. Look at your life and the place in God's vineyard where you have been planted. Think about the blessings and talents you have been given and the people whose circle you've been placed in and how you respond to God's call. May we never lose faith in God's authentic, multidimensional love. May we never lose faith in God's authentic, deep, multidimensional love and his providence that wills for us the best. May he bless us and guide us as we respond to his call. Amen.